We're here with Marco Bogaers of Metropolis Metering, and so I'll just start off with a couple of quick questions. So can you give us a brief background of your company and the solutions that you provide?
Okay. Metropolis is an accredited metering provider and data provider, so we provide electricity metering services to electricity retailers and the utility industry in general, and value-added services to end users in terms of energy monitoring and that type of thing.
Great. Has M2M or machine-to-machine always been a part of your business? And if not, when did you adapt it?
Yeah, M2M's always been a part of the business from the very beginning. We recognised about 10 years ago that metering was heading in a new direction, which was smart metering, value-added services, the ability for customers to be able to get access to the data far more rapidly than the 3 or 6 month meter read allowed. And a big component of that has been communication technologies at each metering point that allows now two-way communication so that we can control a range of value-added services at that metering point, other than just collecting data from it each day.
Fantastic. And are you seeing any trends in terms of the growth of M2M adoption within your industry?
I would suggest that in terms of electricity metering, I think there's a huge opportunity or huge likelihood that every metering point, every electricity metering point within Australia will be M2M enabled within the next decade.
Okay. And why do you think that is?
Government regulations pushing in that direction quite strongly. We've seen the rollout of so-called smart meters in Victoria, which was sort of a precursor to that. That hasn't gone swimmingly well in terms of cost and functionality and certainly delivery to consumers. Regulators in other states have looked at that and said to themselves, well, we do still want to have a push for smart meters, but we want it to be by customer choice. Now, that's really important because what it means is that instead of the driver now being a cute new technology, it's actually going to be driven by functions and by tariffs that customers are going to want to opt into. So it's going to be driven by the service that's available, but the enabler of that is going to be the smart meter. So that M2M technology plays an important component in the service delivery, but the actual sales component will be more about the service. And so what we'll see is a slow adoption at first, but I believe we'll get to a tipping point fairly quickly.
Great. And how has working with KORE helped to grow your business?
Well, KORE's been instrumental in the business from day one by supplying us not only with SIMs and the access to the telecommunication networks, but also helping point us in the right direction as to what sort of network services we should be looking for. So, for instance, in some instances using global roaming rather than just fixed static IP address SIMs, and of course helping us access the best prices for the services, so that we can actually make a profit and offer our services at a more competitive rate.
Are there any developments in your industry relating to M2M that you're generally excited about, that you see the future growth is really going to change the playing field?
Absolutely. Look, just today we demonstrated to one of Australia's major retailers the ability to remotely disconnect and reconnect customers as they move in and out of properties. The response time at the moment in the industry, if you need to disconnect supply, and that's not for debt, this is for service. If customers are no longer actually in a premise, in a building, in a factory, there is a need at times to disconnect that electricity for safety reasons. Now, that creates an inconvenience for customers moving in, who can sometimes wait days or even weeks for that service to be reconnected. We demonstrated today how M2M can achieve that same outcome in 6 seconds response times, which is pretty exciting.
Great. Marco, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Gideon.